if you want to win more consulting clients, what I'm about to share with you can really make a big difference. One of the most common mistakes that consultants make when they try to win more business is that they spend too much time in a conversation with the buyer trying to convince the buyer why the buyer should choose them, right, over someone else. And so here's what it often looks like. You have the consultant here. We'll say consultant. Okay, hopefully you can read that. And then we have over here the buyer. So what happens so often is that the consultant will use this conversation as an opportunity to tell the buyer all about their methodology, the awards they've won, how many years they've been in business, right? Why they're so great. The problem with this is that, as you can see, it's very one-sided, right? This comes across as feeling very, very salesy, because it is, right? If you're only talking about yourself, if you're saying about how good you are and how you work and all that kind of stuff, and you're just doing all one in one direction, it's not a conversation, right? It's like a sales pitch, and that's how a buyer feels about it. And so what do most buyers do when that happens? They put their guard up, right? They try and protect themselves because they don't feel comfortable, right? They feel, they can really sense this person wants to sell to them. And when most people, there's that common saying that nobody likes to be sold to, but people like to buy, but not to be sold to. So here, if you're trying to sell, if you're very one-sided talking about just what you do, you're likely going to have the wrong dynamic at play, right? You're not going to be benefiting from it. So the solution and the opportunity, right, is to turn this very much into a conversation. And the way that you turn this into a conversation is that you remove the element of having to talk about why you're so good in this conversation. So how do you do that, right? How can you essentially provide a lot of proof? Because that's really what we're talking about here, right? How do you provide proof that you are an expert, right? That you've been able to achieve results. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that there. And all the other good stuff that you've done, right? That's what proof is all about. Proof helps to essentially, right, eliminate or significantly reduce risk, because that's what holds buyers back from wanting to engage, is that they feel this person, this company, this brand, are they really going to be able to provide and do what they say they're going to do, right? There's a lot of risk on the table, not only financial risk, but there's the risk of what if we invest a lot of time into this and it doesn't work out? There's the risk of having to move employees or team members away, right, off of what they're currently working on to support the initiative. So anything and everything that you can do to provide proof that you've done this for others like them before, that you have a track record of success, that you are an expert in your area, right? All these elements, testimonials, case studies, articles you've written, white papers, books, right? All this stuff is very, very powerful in providing proof, and it helps the buyer to feel less risk because there's so much proof on the table in front of them. So here's the strategy, right? Here's the tip and kind of the approach, is you want to take all of this. You want to take the proof about you, about why you and your company, your brand are so good, the case studies, the testimonials, the articles, the videos, the presentations, the awards, all of it, right? And what you want to actually do is you want to front load it. You want to have it here into what we call like a pre-sales processor component. So that the idea behind it, and I'll make this real simple, I don't need to spend more time drawing on the board, and I'll just kind of, let me go a little bit short here, so hopefully I'm in the frame. But the idea behind this is that you want to put all this information into the hands of the ideal client, of the dream client, before you actually have that conversation with them. So it could happen in multiple stages. If you're sending emails or you're doing follow-ups, right, and sharing some of this with them. It can also happen the moment that you schedule a call with a buyer. You send them an email or you send them, a package. Could even be in the mail, right? Physical mail is very powerful for this as well. But the idea is that they get to see all of this proof material before you actually jump onto a call. And so now when you have your conversation and call with that buyer, you don't need to spend your time talking about how good you are or what you've done or the results that you've created, because it's already been said. And it hasn't been said by you, it's been said by the information itself. And so that's much more powerful, right? Rather than you trying to talk about how good you are, let this do that work for you. So when you have the conversation with the buyer, you're actually going to be able to serve them at a much higher level because your focus will not be on talking about yourself or your track record. Your focus will be on the buyer, right? On their situation, on what's important to them, their problems, their desires, their goals. And so now this conversation can be, it doesn't need to be salesy any longer, right? Now it's just a real valuable conversation, right? And it's very much a two-sided collaborative conversation where you can spend your time focusing on them. And that tends to create a much better outcome in terms of the conversation. But also because the buyer is already quote unquote pre-sold, right? They've already seen all this proof. They come into it seeing you as an expert. They already come into it seeing you as the authority that you want to be seen. And so now the dynamic of that conversation as well is significantly enhanced for the betterment of both parties. So it actually makes the process better for both parties because you better understand each other and you get to spend this time talking about each other as opposed to having to try and do the whole sales thing. So that's one tip. If you don't have a pre-sales process in your business right now, highly encourage you to do that. Of course, if you ever want help with any of these things, we have a lot of resources at consultingsuccess.com or feel free to get in touch. But there you have it. Encourage you to look at your current process. Do you have a pre-sales process? Do you not? If you don't, put one in. If you do, think about how you might be able to improve it. Have a great day.